Banquet for Fools is a very strange game, and I mean that in a good way. There are so many different things that it does that throws me back to early days of playing games like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale, both in a good and not so good way at times. But one thing is for sure, this game does some things that are all its own. It has somehow managed to be unique in a genre that has been iterated on so many times that it's become difficult to find something new in terms of mechanics, while also being fun. And a lot of that comes down to the combat. It still has a lot of what you would expect from a CRPG: depth in stats and abilities, and different kinds of combat styles and magics. But the way that you use them is something that I don't think I've seen before, at least not in the same place at the same time. It takes cues from games like Parasite Eve and the way that targeting works and the active nature of the combat, having this sort of meter that you have to keep track of when you can act, almost like an active time battle sort of thing. But it also has interactions that are similar to brawlers. The most obvious of those is the ability to knock down your opponents with attacks, and then once they're knocked down, you can initiate combos. As you move through the game, that becomes more complicated. Combos become, multi-party member things, and it allows for a ton of customization. There's a lot of depth here, so the people that really like to dig into systems and find a way to manipulate them to their fullest effects will definitely enjoy this game. I feel like there are definitely ways to create almost Marvel versus Capcom levels of infinite combos, though that sort of thing is beyond me personally. I just like making the ragdolls fly around on the screen. The other thing that's really captivating about the game is the world itself. This is a world that truly feels alien in a lot of ways, and this is because it doesn't use a lot of the average orcs, elves, dwarves, or that sort of thing. They've created different races and monsters in a world of their own, which is interesting because apparently it takes place in the same universe as their previous game, Serpent and the Staglands, which did have humans, though not so much the other token-esque races. There is a race called Yetis, though, and they're pretty cool. I did earlier mention the not so good, so I guess I'll talk about that quickly before diving back into the good. This is a small team from what I understand, so there are, of course, going to be small issues and bugs that crop up. I haven't seen anything game-breaking, but for as beautiful as the game is, it isn't a perfect 10 out of 10 in terms of production. I say this to keep expectations in check more than anything else, and the biggest issue for me is the text and the lack of resizing options being available. The text is very small. This is something that they said they would look into fixing, but it hasn't been fixed as of the 1.0 release. And it won't be a big issue for everybody, but the grayish, smaller text could be a problem for me at times, which I'm sure is down to being a small team and having limited resources and time. Something that could be seen as an issue for some players is the lack of a quest journal. This was done deliberately in order to immerse people more into the setting and make people keep track of things in their own ways, possibly by keeping their own journal. It's a very old school CRPG thing to do, really, but not everyone will be happy with that choice. It isn't like there is no record of your quests at all in the game. There can be scrolls that you get that have the quest on them, clues or instructions. The map has markers that you can use, so you can type out specific things on pins, locations that you need to go through. There's also an in-game notes section, so you can take your own notes in-game when you have specific information that you want to remember. But I do still feel like this could be divisive. The game gives you a lot of tools, so it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but for some people, it could be. The game itself is very impressive, especially considering this is apparently a two-person team. I very quickly found myself immersed into the setting, wandering around, excited to see what would come next. This is a dark story as well, which is something you come to understand very quickly in the first act. And there are people who actually compare it to something like Dark Crystal in terms of the art style, and I really think that comparison's a good one. It's a breath of fresh air to get something that is so unique in this space. As much as I love the classic tropes of fantasy, and I'll continue to love those, when a game comes out like this that mixes things up, I have to give them some props for that. I feel like it would be completely at home in the late 90s and early 2000s era CRPG scene, and playing it for the first time feels like you found a lost RPG from that era, which for old fucks like me is something that you always are hoping for, and it seems like a lot of people agree with that because it's doing well in reviews, and and in what the average player of the game has been saying. I would definitely give the demo a try for yourself. That is available, and it will give you a good sample of what the gameplay is like. This is one that is definitely worth giving a chance to. And for the $20 price tag, you're definitely getting your money's worth here. You can get the game on Steam right now, as it has just recently been fully released. And for more RPGs of all kinds, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.